The road twisted like a serpent up the steep hill, overgrown with weeds and forgotten by time. The last town was 20 miles behind, and cell service vanished shortly after the final gas station. The rusted mailbox bearing the name Delacroix leaned like a drunk against a splintered post. Behind it, hidden under a canopy of skeletal trees, stood the house. Widow's Hill had long been a whispered name in nearby towns, a place tied to stories of missing children, strange lights, and the scream that carried across the valley during the first snow of each winter. But those were just stories. Or so thought Evelyn Mercer as she arrived to claim her inheritance. A dilapidated farmhouse left to her by a grandmother she hadn't seen since she was 8. The house loomed in the gray mist, taller than it should be, windows like watching eyes, its paint peeling like sunburned skin. Vines strangled the porch columns. The wind carried a scent of mold and rust. Evelyn hesitated before stepping onto the porch, key in hand, heart heavy with unease. Inside, the air was thick with dust and secrets. Furniture lay shrouded under sheets like corpses awaiting burial. Every board groaned beneath her weight. Every shadow shifted as if it held its breath. The temperature dropped as she passed the threshold. The house didn't feel empty. It felt asleep and slowly waking. A journal lay on the mantel, its cover cracked, the pages filled with a spidery hand. It belonged to her grandmother, Lucille Delacroix. The entries rambled between grief, ritual, and warnings. Words repeated. The mirror must remain covered. He waits beneath the floor. Blood remembers. Evelyn spent her first night on the sagging couch, wrapped in an old quilt that smelled of cedar and something coppery. Dreams came in waves. A girl with her face missing, a mirror bleeding from its frame, a voice humming lullabies in reverse. By morning, something had changed. The house felt closer. Walls seemed to lean in. A dead bird lay just outside the front door, its wings arranged in a strange pattern. The journal was open to a page she hadn't left it on. The words had shifted. You are home now. Evelyn told herself it was stress. A city girl alone in an ancient house with too much imagination. But the signs grew stranger. Footsteps in the attic. A second reflection in the mirror. Claw marks behind wallpaper. A child's laughter from inside the stove. She found a door in the basement she didn't remember. It led to a root cellar, dry and cracked like a grave. In the center, a stone slab with carvings that hurt to look at. Beneath it, bones. Not animal. Human. Small. The journal detailed a ritual, a way to seal the house's hunger. It spoke of sacrifice, of blood given freely. Lucille had performed it once after her daughter, Evelyn's mother, had gone mad and drowned herself in the well. Evelyn's memories returned in flashes. Her mother screaming at the walls, being dragged from the house by social workers, the reason she never came back. But now she was back, and the house wanted her. That night, the whispers began, at first faint, then louder. They called her name in her mother's voice. They told her to open the cellar, to feed the house. She resisted, boarded the basement, burned the journal. But the house would not be denied. Doors slammed without cause. Every mirror cracked. Her reflection stopped matching her movements. A shadow watched from the upper hall. The air turned thick as soup. Time warped, hours lost, nights repeating. In desperation, Evelyn fled to town, but no one remembered her grandmother. The lawyer's office that sent the inheritance notice was abandoned. Her car refused to start. A blizzard rolled in, sudden and unnatural, trapping her on the hill. The house greeted her return with warmth. The hearth roared to life. The portrait smiled. She cried, but the tears froze on her cheeks. The cellar door stood open. She descended. The air thickened as she stepped into the darkness. Each stair creaked underfoot like a moan of protest. At the bottom, the root cellar pulsed with a damp chill. The stone slab was gone, replaced by a shallow pit filled with ash and teeth. Around the walls, symbols shimmered in fresh blood. Hers. Scratches ran down her arms, though she remembered nothing. In the center stood a shape, not quite human, too tall, too narrow, eyes like dead stars. It beckoned. She could not scream. Her voice caught in her throat like fishhooks. She turned to flee, but the stairs had vanished. The door above was sealed, grown over with black roots that pulsed like arteries. Time unraveled. One moment bled into another. Evelyn wandered the halls endlessly, though her feet never moved. The house became a maze, rooms shifting like puzzle pieces. She opened a closet and found her childhood bedroom, opened a drawer and pulled out her mother's bones. Her body thinned. Her hair fell out in clumps. Hunger gnawed, but there was no food. Only the coppery scent of blood and the whisper of something old. She began to understand. The house was not haunted. It was alive, and it fed on memory, fear, grief. Lucille had bought herself time through ritual. Her mother had refused. Now Evelyn was the next link. The walls pulsed with a rhythm matching her heart. She saw herself in the mirror, young, old, rotting, reborn. She was Evelyn. She was Lucille. She was her mother. One soul through generations, devoured and remade. To leave, she must feed the house. The pit awaited. She found the photo album in the attic. Each page bled when touched. Faces faded in and out. She saw herself standing by the house, each time older, each time sadder. She saw a child, a new one, unfamiliar. The future? The house whispered, "Bring her." It was spring when the girl arrived. Evelyn had gone into the world again, hair regrown, voice soft and welcoming. She found the girl in a foster home, pale, quiet, just like she had been. She brought her to Widow's Hill with stories of family and new beginnings. The house smiled. The girl wandered the rooms with wonder. Evelyn watched with a smile that never reached her eyes. She showed her the safe places, the kitchen that never spoiled food, the fire that never died. But the cellar stayed locked. For now. Each night the girl dreamed of rivers of teeth, of songs hummed backward, of a woman who was not Evelyn but wore her skin. The whispers began again, and so the cycle continued. The house always remembers. One evening, the girl found the journal. Not the original, but a new one. Blank, except for a single line written in red ink. Write what you fear most. She tried to close it, but her fingers stuck to the pages. Ink bled beneath her touch, forming symbols and memories she didn't recognize. A well, a scream, a woman buried beneath floorboards. Each night, more pages filled themselves. Evelyn watched from the doorway, eyes hollow. She aged a year each week. Her skin grew thin, waxy. Her breath smelled of rot and ash. The house took its toll. The girl asked questions. Evelyn didn't answer. She only smiled. Then the dreams turned to visions. The girl saw Evelyn standing in the cellar, hands outstretched, offering her name to something in the dark. She saw herself descending those same stairs, barefoot, bleeding. She resisted, locked her door at night, refused the food, covered the mirrors. The house grew restless. Doors banged, walls wept, the fire roared with screams. Portraits turned their heads when no one looked. The house began to fray at the seams. And then, one morning, Evelyn was gone. No note, no trace, only her pendant on the kitchen table, still warm. The girl wandered the house alone. Days passed, or hours. Time had no meaning. The cellar door creaked open. She stood at the threshold, breath shallow. And then she shut it. She ran, through the front door, down the winding path, into the trees. The house shrieked behind her, a sound of metal, grief, and rage. She reached the road. She kept running. She never looked back. Years passed. The house waited. One day, a woman came walking up the path. Not Evelyn, but her eyes were the same. And the house opened its door, welcoming her home.